When I first arrived in China 3 years ago, I was completely lost. I didn't know how to get out of the airport. I didn't know how to buy food. I didn't even know how to find my school. I spent days just wandering around in Beijing, asking people how to get to this place, how to do that thing, and it was so very painful. And if I just knew one, two, maybe three of these things I'm about to tell you, my life in China, my first day and my first week would have been so much better and so much smoother. And so for that reason, I decided to make China Essentials. China Essentials is a community that involves an app and a YouTube. The whole purpose of it is to make your life in China a whole lot easier. In this video, I plan to go through all the apps that I use daily and all the apps that you would really need to survive in China, and in a quick way just kind of tell you what they're for and the main features. If you want to get more complete guides for any of these apps, you can follow this page, subscribe to this page, and check the other videos in one of these playlists. You can also check Instagram for carousels and reels. There won't be many now because we're now starting, but as we continue to grow, there'll be more and more tips, more and more carousels, and maybe even some news and what's not, just to make your life in China a whole lot easier. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the apps. So the first app you see here at the top is Alipay. This is probably one of the most important apps you will ever download coming to China. You should definitely get it before you come to China and set up your overseas bank card with it. You can use a Visa card, you can use a MasterCard, whatever. And this is super important. So let's go into the app. When you go into the app, the first thing you'll see is scan, pay, collect, and transport, pocket. These four things at the top. What you'll use the most are scan and transport. Right, scanning, you use the scan codes of merchants or anyone you're going to pay via QR code, really. Transport you use for taking the bus, for taking the metro, all of these kind of things, and you use the metro as your main mode of transportation while you're here in China. So let's just show you what the transport page looks like. So here you see bus, metro, and a traffic card. So what you really use is the metro card most of the time. And there'll be these kiosks in the subway. You'll just pull this up and put it by the kiosk and you'll be able to go in. The next app you'll see here is WeChat. Now this is the main app for communication. There's also a way to pay in here, but usually to use this you would need a Chinese bank card to pay for things. So for now, when you first get here, the first thing you'll be relying on is Alipay for paying. Alright, so in WeChat you see there's some chats here. This is the main thing you do, and then there's tons of group chats. I usually have the most important ones pinned at the top. Then there's like transferring files and a bunch of other things that are super useful in here. The main thing though is for contacting people. So let's move to the next one. The next one is the map. So I use Baidu Ditool, which is like a Chinese version of an app. There are two maps you can use really here. One is A Maps and one is this one. Now this one is in Chinese, and I speak some Chinese, so that's why I use it. But normally as a foreigner, you could use A Map is in English and definitely much more foreigner friendly. But anyways, the main functions are the same. So what you could do here is enter where you want to go. So let's say I wanted to go to the airport, right? This is the airport, and you would click at the bottom. There'll be something like go here for you, and I would click here, and then at the top there's some options. So this one is take a taxi. So you could straight from in here in the map app you could pick whichever kind of taxis you wanted to use and use to get to the area, or you could use public transportation, and this will show you the lines you should take to get there, and even the walking route to get to the lines there. So this one here is the walking route. And the other option would be like, it would tell you how long it would take to ride there. You could choose whether you want to ride a bicycle or an e-bike, and it also shows you the time for walking there. Alright, so this is basically how you use maps when you're here. Alright, so this next thing here is called NextIn. This is a VPN. There are a bunch of different types of VPNs. I could recommend the one that I use in the description, but we won't talk too much about it in this video. Just know that if you want to use certain apps, like this Bible app here for example, you usually need a VPN. Now this other one here, China Essentials, is obviously our app. I'll show you more about it in some other videos, but you can just show you a quick run through of the main screen. So the main screen right now has Student Essentials, where we teach students the main things you would need to learn before getting here, and some of the things you should check off, some of the things on your checklist before coming to China, the things you should do as soon as you get here to make sure everything is set up correctly, things you should do at school, super important. And then in here we also have some links to the different parts of the community. You could join our WhatsApp chat, You could join the WeChat group chat if you have WeChat. You could check out Instagram, as I mentioned earlier, for the quick tips, maybe some carousels or these kind of things. And you could check out YouTube, which you are probably on watching this video already, to check out the full guides. Additionally, we put in an extra part here called cities. So if you wanted to visit any city, so let's just click Chengdu in this case, you could see what the 1 day highlights are. If you have 3 days, what you should do, and then some 4 foods to try, 4 places to visit, and some other things you could include. There's also some other features in this app which I think are pretty cool and fun, but we won't go through them now because this is just a quick preview. Alright, so Google Translate, pretty self-explanatory. This is for translating things. Pleco is a dictionary for Chinese and English, but I use it not to search words that you know, but to search words you don't know, but you can see the character. So if I could see a character that I don't know, so let's just assume I didn't know this word here, I could draw it here, and then it would tell me what it means, right? So this is, I think, one of the main uses for Pleco for me. Besides that, there's obviously the normal standard dictionary usage. So if you wanted to say something like congratulations, right? So you would see here 祝贺 or 恭喜 as the words you can use for congratulations. Great. Moving on. So the Bible, self-explanatory. I use the Bible. Other Christians, you can use it here, but as I was mentioning, you need to use a VPN for it. And for buying food, or for something we call Waimai, which is kind of like takeout, which is very fast in China, by the way, and very, very convenient and very cheap, you would use this thing called Meituan. There's also another app called Ele.me you could also use, but for now, I personally use Meituan, and a lot of people do. So here at the top, Meituan, I think is only in Chinese. So let me just give you the quick things that you would use, because this might look a little overwhelming at first. So the main thing you would use is this first one here called Waimai. That has, right, this one, Waimai. And then you would choose what you want. So you could type here in English, that's fine. So if you want to type hamburger, and it will show you the options nearby you. So you could see on the right, like there's the time and the distance from where your location is, and the different options. If you want to get something familiar, like maybe let's say KFC, you could do that too, and it would show you, the nearest KFC and how long it would take. So right now you see 30 minutes, 569 meters, very close. Even things like Burger King, I guess you could get that here. And they all have ads, wonderful ads to make it look cooler. And then, for example, Starbucks. People like Starbucks. Starbucks is here. There's something we use more often than Starbucks here called Luckin Coffee. Of course, there's lots of those here as well. So yeah. Alright, so that's the main way you use Meituan. There's a lot of other features in this app, but again, this is just a quick preview. If you want to see the full guide, we'll make a full guide for it here on YouTube later. Next app is Taobao. So you use this to buy pretty much anything. You could literally buy almost anything here. I bought electric scooter on Taobao, and it was delivered in front of my door. So this is the place you come. In English we call it Alibaba, right? This is pretty much Alibaba. So anything you want, you could order in here, and it would come directly to wherever your pickup point is. In terms of setting it up, maybe we should do a video about that, because it takes a little bit of setting up. You might need to do some real name verification. You might need to add your passport. You might need to, of course, you need to add your location if it's going to deliver to your location. But yeah, the main thing is you come in here, you search where you want, and I'm just going to click anything random right now, and you click to buy it, and then you add it to your cart. If you want to, click the features, add to your cart, and it's in your cart. You could buy it, or you could just directly buy right here. Oh, I'm about to pay for this by accident, but yeah, you could just buy it directly. Cool. Let's go back here. Pinduoduo is pretty much like Taobao, like Alibaba, but it's like a cheaper version. So the things you buy here will be much cheaper, but of course if it's cheaper, it could be a lower quality, so be careful here. Yeah. Next one, JD. Now this is for high quality but slightly more expensive things. We normally use it for technology, but you could use it for other things as well. But yeah, if you definitely want to buy if you wanted to spend more money and buy like a really high quality tech item, like a MacBook or something, or iPhone, you could buy it from here. Or I still recommend you go to an actual store for some of these, but definitely this is the most trustworthy for sure for tech. Moving on. These last 4 ones down here, well, the first 3 are for traveling, and the last one is just like a bonus thing. So this one called Red Note or Xiaohongshu or Red, depending on where you are. This one is kind of like an Instagram for China, but we use it. I use it, and a lot of people use it more for what to do when you're traveling. So let's say I wanted to go to Shanghai. I think Shanghai is getting very hot right now on the news. So let's go to Shanghai, right? It will tell you. So you see all these things. All of these things are like little plans for how you could spend your day in Shanghai. Now people do this all the time, like, you know, they're always getting new ones. So you see places, some of them have food. So if I wanted to put food here, Shanghai food, there'll be recommendations for food. Look at this, lots and lots of recommendations. And if I wanted to do, for example, nightlife, it's not something I do, but I guess some other people do, then yeah, should I keep this in the videos? This is kind of wild. Anyways, yeah, so whatever you wanted to do while traveling, you could look for it here and you'd get some links. If you speak Chinese, it's even better, because if I wanted to do this, for example, Shanghai 食物 or 美食, Shanghai 美食, then there should be a little ranking system. Let me try Jingdian first. Right, you see a little ranking system here for the percentage recommendations for different places, and it should also happen with food. But anyways, this would tell you, okay, what you definitely should go, and these recommendations are by the locals, so they're trustworthy. All right, moving on. The last two here, that's so Beijing. This other one here is 12306. I use this for buying train tickets between different places in China, because China is huge, super huge. Like from Shanghai to Beijing is far. From where I am right now, Shenzhen to Beijing is even further, right? So we use high-speed rail for this. So let's just do, for example, what ticket would cost from here to there. So 8-hour ticket is 1,000. 11-hour ticket is 960. There's also these overnight ones that are very long. This one's 28 hours, but it's also obviously much cheaper. They're actually not bad. I've done a couple of those. Maybe I'll show you a video on my personal channel of how those trains actually look. Yeah, but not here. Cool. So I use this for buying train tickets, especially since if you need to refund or change the time for a ticket or change the ending destination, it's very easy to do here in this app. If you use this other app, which I also use for traveling, I find the process for refunding and changing is a little bit more complicated, even though the prices can be cheaper. So if it's a train, I definitely use 12306. If it's like a plane or a hotel, then I use this other app called Qunar. Now this one is in Chinese. If you wanted to have a similar app in English, there's Ctrip and there's Trip.com. Pretty much the same thing, Ctrip and Trip.com. And you come here for GPL is like plane tickets to different places. 酒店 is for hotels. And yeah, you can come here to book these stuff. We're not going to go through that right now because this is, again, it's a preliminary video, but that's kind of what you use it for. It's Qunar, Qunar. Cool. And this last one is just a bonus because some schools have like their own personal apps. So this is the one for my school, and it could have things like the academic calendar inside of it. And when you register for courses, it could even have your course calendar and other details. You see finance, dormitory, classroom, a lot of other things, reservations for different rooms. So you could check to see if your school has one, and then that could be, you know, a life-saving thing sometimes actually. All right, so here is where this video ends. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was very helpful. And again, if you are coming to China and you want any more tips, or you want to feel prepared before you get here, or if you know anyone else that's coming to China, or you even live in China already and you still want to learn some more extra stuff, you can follow this channel, you can follow the Instagram. And if you want to try our China Essentials app, whether it's beta in the time you see this or the full app, you can check the link in the bio and join the beta sign up form, or just download the app directly. Thank you again for your time, and just remember, this is China Essentials. We want to make your life in China a whole lot easier. Bye bye.
There's one thing that I need from you.